Hello, YouTube. I'm here to talk about Greenleaf, Season 3, Episode 4. Okay, most of this, pretty much all of this episode, it takes place in one day, in one evening. There's a big party, but we'll get to that. It opens up with May. So I guess that would be 2 days, because May starts off in Atlanta. She's going to visit her old friend. Her old friend's name was Maxine Patterson. Maxine Patterson. She's like a Joyce Meyer, black Joyce Meyer, right? She's got this big church, and she has become successful. Her and Lady May, at one point, were on the same level. They were both getting out of, I guess, college and preparing to go to seminary. When Bishop found May, and they fell in love, and May got sidetracked from her career in ministry, her own private career in ministry. Maxine went on to pursue hers. She's become successful, and now May is in Atlanta to visit her. Right? Now, May is a little cynical because she advised this woman not to marry the bishop. They were, and Lady May is saying, I should have took your advice. I'm about to leave him. Although you got them, what did they get out of it? 30 years, 30, 40 years out of it? So I would say it was still a successful marriage. But Lady May, she goes back and forth, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Basically, she's decided to leave this man, right? Basically. It seems like we're setting up a empire type situation here, though, because it seems like people are going to be going for this split up church who can revive it, salvage it. All right, so Patti Labelle, Maxine Patterson's advice to her is she ain't got no problem with her leaving him. But May is saying, I'm going to leave him and leave Calvary and start my own church and fulfill my calling. I was called as a young woman, young woman, to preach. Patterson's advice is, I don't agree with that. Why would you leave the church? Make him leave. He's a man. Let him go out and make his own thing. Why you always got to leave? So her advice is for Lady May to go ahead and divorce him, but keep the church. Make him fight for it. Take it in the divorce settlement. Lord have mercy. That's her advice. We don't see Patti sing, but we hear her in the background on her records. Okay. This big party is being planned. After Lady May leaves Atlanta, she goes back to, are they in Memphis? Goes back home, and she's already, part of this party is being planned. The things have already been laid out. While she was gone, the house is being decorated. All the servants are there preparing for this huge party. It's called the Bishop's Table. Bishop's Table. So I guess a bishop is like a regional manager. What they're over many different pastors, and they kind of get advice from the bishop of that area. So, yeah, they're planning this big party, but the bishop is planning something in the party that May is not aware of, because May finds out that her family has been invited, which they generally aren't. It's usually for the bishops, and also this old friend of theirs who is not a part of the church, is Undertaker. This guy runs a funeral home. He's an old friend of both of theirs. He's the one that introduced those two, May and Bishop. He's been invited as well. So May figure he's up to something, but she lets him know right off the top, listen, we are through. I've made up my decision. We're done. Okay. Next thing we move to is Clarissa and Jacob. Clarissa and Jacob has got this unruly child, being a teenager. You know, Zora's in love. I think she's in love with this boy who abuses her. He hasn't gotten a paycheck in a while. We haven't seen him. We talk about him a lot, but we haven't seen him. Anyway, she's obviously not being allowed to see this boy anymore after he put his hands on her, and her father, Jacob, had to knock him out at the party. She's persistent about trying to see this boy, though, and she's been stealing. So Carissa's come to the point where she wants to send this girl away. She wants to send her away to a boot camp in Oregon. This is where the Christian people send their children when they don't act right. They send them to boot camp. But not only church people, but I guess if a child is just too far out, they send them to places like this in another state where they know no one. Particularly, they don't know that dude, whatever his name was. I forget his name. Her abusive boyfriend. Get her out of town. Carissa has pretty much made up her mind. She's already paid the deposit. I mean, she's wrote out a check for the deposit. She's filled out the application. All she has to do is put it in the mailbox, right? And Jacob is not having it. He is adamant about his desire that she not go to no boot camp. Although he was the one that was really, really upset with her and disappointed in this girl. All right. Kevin is panicking now. He hasn't seen his child in a week, and he hasn't seen Charity in a week, and she hasn't answered her phone in a week, right? So he is panicking now, and he wants to call the police. He's ready to call the cops on her because he told her, do not take my child across state lines. Now she's missing, right? They know that she's not on tour like she claims that she is. She's not on tour, but she's missing for a week. He almost calls the cops, and then Aaron is there to talk him down. Don't call the cops. That takes it to another level you don't want to be at. Right? So the next thing that happens is they crash the party. Everybody's in, it's not formal attire, but they're all dressed up for this big party. And they show up in t-shirts, which just makes them look out of place. Crash the party. They're looking for Charity. They think she's somewhere in the house. And then Grace intercepts them, talks them down, and talks to Kevin. She suggests they call her right from where they're at. She calls her. She can hear that there's a swimming pool. She said, where are you at? Is there a swimming pool? And Charity's not giving up her location. She's not telling where she is. She's saying the baby is safe. And Grace is asking her over the phone, well, where's the baby? You at a pool? She said they have nannies. Wherever I'm at, they have nannies, people to take care of the babies. Right? So she's not giving up her location, however. Wait a minute. All right, so he doesn't call the cops, not yet. Lady Mae sees that something's going on between that family, between Jacob, his wife, and Zora. And Lady Mae confronts Jacob about it. Jacob tells her the whole story about the stealing, about this boy. And Lady Mae is already aware of this boy. That's the problem. All the stealing and all that is all about getting with this guy. But what they didn't realize was apparently she's almost 18 years old. They're ready to enter college. Her plan is to take off with this boy, this abusive boyfriend of hers. I don't know why I can't remember that child's name. Maybe if they show him again, I remember. Anyway. So they're not even aware of her plan, her big plan. But when Clarissa finds out about that, that settles it. But we'll get there in a minute. So Lady Mae said, listen, don't send her to boot camp. Leave her with me. I guess it'd be worse than boot camp. Leave her with me. I'll handle her. That child would not dare disrespect me in my house. Maybe she got a point. Maybe it will work out, but that will still leave her in town where this boy is. Right? In that very big old mansion. Easy to get lost in there. Initially, Jacob's all for it, and Clarissa is dead set against it. So they're split. Something has to happen. Okay, so Bishop's plan in all this big party, his subplot was to have this. He gathers everyone together in this big ballroom type thing, and he tells all of the family. He has his family stand there with him, and he professes his love, his undying affection and love for his wife, figuring this is going to soften her heart. Tell him how much he loves her and how much he wants to spend his life with her. The past 40 years and the next 40 years with her. He loves her. And she is slowly, you see her ice kind of melting off. She's slowly, seems like she's relenting right there in that moment. And then she spots Rochelle. Rochelle's at the party. Apparently she was not expected at the party. Lady Mae certainly doesn't want her at the party. Apparently they sent her some kind of invitation probably before they had any information, and everyone RSVP except for her. And, you know, of course, Lady Mae said, fine, that's great with me. She's not welcome in my house. But she shows up, and Lady Mae instructs him to get rid of her. He, I think the word is acquiesce. He does it. He goes over and talks to Miss Rochelle, telling her, listen, whatever was going on between us, whatever energy there was, it is done. I want to be with my wife, my family. I'm trying to put my marriage back together. You shouldn't be here. She puts up all this thing. Why are you teasing me? Why were you about to kiss me? You called me to meet you at the hotel and all this stuff, right? She won't just quietly leave. To her credit, though, she does decide to make that decision because it would be awful if they had to get security to carry her ass out. I think Lady Mae is about her business. I could see her doing that. It would be a nice dramatic scene. But he tells her, whatever it was, if I led you on, I apologize. I'm sorry, but you need to leave here. And she does leave, this girl, Rochelle. But as she's leaving, she runs into this benefactor lady, whatever her name is. Too many names here. I can't get them all, not yet. Anyway, the benefactor lady, the lady who had agreed to give the bishop $2 million. Now, there was some confusion last week because it seems like they were saying that she had gave him $2 million and he was still going to be investigated. So now we see that apparently that was a loan because this girl, Rochelle, tells this woman that asked her about what business she had with the church, with the Greenleafs. And she says, oh, I can't tell you. And she said, well, whatever it is, Rochelle, whatever it is, I would have money people look over that, hinting that there's something that might be going on with the Greenleafs. So if she was giving them the money, gifting the money to the church, which I think would be just abuse. If she was gifting them $2 million, it shouldn't make any difference. But if she was loaning them the money, changes everything. So as she's leaving, she runs into this woman, right? Tells her, have your money people go over it. I will call a meeting. Rochelle is some kind of business woman. She does investments, handles people's investments and so forth, their portfolios. So now she don't even know this woman, but she takes her advice. Huh? What? That's how I know it was a loan. I wish these writers would have made it plain that they were asking her for a loan to get them through with this tax thing. She wasn't ever asked to give the money away. So now this woman has changed her mind. I mean, it's giving her pause. Even though this Rochelle doesn't know the details of what she's involved with them, it becomes obvious that this woman is considering what she just said. Connie and Grace. Okay, so now we got a scene for our people. Connie and Grace are at the party. They are talking about, I guess Kevin and Aaron were there, and then that sparked a conversation between those two. Connie being the head deacon, and Grace, of course, she's associate pastor. Grace wants to include LGBT people. She thinks they should join a coalition of affirming ministries there. And Connie is dead set against it. You know, it's the deacon's responsibility to run the church. So they have a big say in what goes on in the church. So Grace wants to be open and affirming. inviting LGBT people to the church where Kevin and them don't have to sneak around and so forth. Perhaps if they had a welcoming environment, the people could tell the truth. Anyway, she's dead set against it. Next thing we see is Clarissa. Okay, we already know that Jacob did not want this girl, Zora, his daughter, to go to this boot camp, right? Dead set against it. Now, Lady May has made the offer for her to come stay with her. Now, Clarissa is equally dead set against her going to stay with Lady May. She was no part of that. She don't want that woman raising her child, basically, or having input in her raising her child. Next thing we see is Sophia. Now, Sophia's got his new boyfriend. They're in the car. They're making out. They're doing what teenagers do. They kiss and make out, right? But his hands is doing the roaming. Let his hands do the walking through the yellow pages, and she is saying, no, stop. It must be difficult for girls because it's always they have to play that role. They have to stop it. The ones that don't stop it, I guess, are the ones that end up. Anyway. The guy, he's not rude. He's not nasty like that Zora's boyfriend. So Zora, she already gave it up. But she said no. So she goes into the house and she tells Zora what happened. I'm talking about Sophia tells Zora what happened. And Sophia was like, what's the big deal? Why'd you give him some? This is a problem, child. So those two go back and forth. And Sophia recognizes that her laptop has been used. And this girl has been trying to contact that boy again on her laptop. Remember, now she's just at the party. All the computers are locked down at her house. But she has gotten a hold to Zora's computer. She sees that. So they start arguing. She's calling it Sophia calls her boyfriend some kind of trash or garbage or something like that. And those two end up in a physical fight. They are, Zora, she's used about 3 or 4 cuss words, right? Which is a big deal to them. They don't use that kind of language. And she calls this girl a bitch. And Sophia said, excuse me. She stands up and then Zora says, I could slap you right now. And she said, go ahead. And next thing we know is boom, 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 boom. Clarissa hears the rumble. She runs in. And this is the last straw. She makes up her mind. And this girl is going to live with her grandmother and deal with that. You won't be raising your hand to Miss Lady May, that's for sure. Okay. While Carissa's in there breaking up this fight, she notices the laptop. And she sees that this girl is got a plan. They got a plan mapped out, her and this boy, to when she turns 18, she's going to leave with him. Correct? And she said, you're not leaving this house when you're 18. So this is she's at her wit's end, and she acquiesces and sends this girl to stay with her grandmother. Okay. So as the benefactor is leaving, she runs into Lady May. They're just saying, I had a nice time kind of thing. Goodbye. And Lady May says they'll be expecting the check. And then the benefactor tells her, I'm sorry I got to call her the benefactor, but all these names, too many names for me. Anyway, the benefactor tells her, no, I would like to go over that with my money people. Say hello. We got to pause for a minute. I want you to say hello to the dog. Hi, Screamy. Say hello. Come on, look at the camera, boy. What's that, Daddy? There's people in there? What you doing? Do the dance for him. Do the dance. Do the dance. Do the dance. Do the dance. Put me down, Daddy. Y'all see my dog and he look cute? Stop barking. Where was I at? Okay, as the benefactor's leaving, Lady May says, wait, expecting the check. The girl tells her, the benefactor tells her, well, actually, I've been thinking about that. And I want to meet with my money people to go over the details of this arrangement. So this is definitely a loan. So why would she need to go back over anything if it was just a gift to the church or to them? is not, which makes a lot more sense. It would be a loan. Okay, so Rochelle, she done threw salt in the wounds, and now they're not getting the check like they were promised before. They're actually going to have to go and talk to her money people, which is when they're going to find out about this investigation by the IRS and so forth and so on. Next thing we see is the story breaks about Bishop being investigated by the IRS on Grace's computer. So I guess nowadays it's the same. The story breaks online. It also breaks in the newspaper, but people don't really use newspapers. It's mostly online now. All right. So as Grace is reading the story at the church, Miss Connie comes in, Deacon Connie, and she says, she approaches her about the possibility of her taking over the church. She feels like he's got this investigation going on now. We are not above firing the bishop. But this is a Greenleaf church, and she wants her to consider taking over if everything goes wrong. But they still are not. They haven't reached any consensus on this issue of the LGBT. Because if Grace is going to run the church, she is certainly going in that direction. And Connie wants to stay as is, but she just doesn't want the church to be drugged down behind the bishop's situation, shall we say. Okay, so Clarissa and Jacob, they delivered Zora up to Lady May. They did it. That fight was the last straw. Well, the fight and the plan, when she saw that they were planning to leave. Right? Last thing we see is Charity is at this, I guess she's at like a spa or something. She's got a baby. Nobody else in the place has a baby stroller with them, though. But when you have a baby, it changes everything, right? You ladies know. She's at this like spa, and she's singing in the lounge. Some kind of piano bar they have there. Some secular song. I forget which one it is. Secular music, whatever. She sings it. They clap. And the cops show up. So that's the last thing we see. Cops show up asking for charity. Basically, that means that this man has pressed charges. A warrant has been issued, and they are there to collect Miss Charity. That's where we left it. All right, people, things are heating up now. I want to suggest that you guys, I get this. I'm a subscriber of this OWN. They give you kind of little bits and pieces. I don't usually watch them because I figure, well, I don't really want to see, the forward before it happens. But on today, they're already showing you what's going to happen next week, and it's heating up. I'll leave it at that.